Yes.
So today is the church's birthday.
Yeah, I guess you're correct.
The gatherings, the gifts, the fire, the blowing, it had to be a birthday. So, happy birthday to us. Happy birthday to us. Can we take now?
Why don't you take the cake out to the kitchen?
No, that's this morning. We can eat cake now, can't we?
Yes, we can eat the cake.
Excellent. What are you going to do?
I'm going to keep reading the Bible reading. Thanks, Phil. All right, so you got the general gist, but this is the actual written down Bible reading. If the Wi-Fi works. Is there a screen? Oh.
We're up to verse 5.
Okay, so when the day of the holy Pentecost came, they were all together in one place. Suddenly, a sound like the blowing of a violent wind came from heaven and filled the whole house where they were sitting. They saw what seemed to be tongues of fire that separated and came to rest on each of them. All of them were filled with the Holy Spirit and began to speak in other tongues, as the Spirit enabled them. Now they were staying in Jerusalem, God-fearing Jews from every nation under heaven. When they heard this, a crowd came together in bewilderment, because each one had heard their own language being spoken. Utterly amazed, they asked, "Aren't all these who are speaking Galileans? Then how is it that each of us hears them in our native language? Parthians, Medes, and Elamites, residents of Mesopotamia, Judea and Cappadocia, Pontus and Asia, Phrygia and Pamphylia, Egypt and the parts of Libya near Cyrene, visitors from Rome, both Jews and converts to Judaism, Cretans and Arabs. We hear them declaring the wonders of God in our own tongues." Amazed and perplexed, they asked one another, "What does this mean?" Some, however, made fun of them and said, "They have had too much wine." Then Peter stood up with the 11, raised his voice, and addressed the crowd. "Fellow Jews and all of you who live in Jerusalem, let me explain this to you. Listen carefully to what I have to say. These people are not drunk, as you suppose. It's only 9 a.m. No, this is what was spoken by the prophet Joel. In the last days, God says, I will pour out my Spirit on all people. Your sons and daughters will prophesy. Your young men will see visions. Your old men will dream dreams. Even on my servants, both men and women, I will pour out my Spirit in those days, and they will prophesy. I will show wonders in the heavens above and signs on the earth below, blood and fire and billows of smoke. The sun will be turned to darkness and the moon to blood, before the coming of the great and glorious day of the Lord. And everyone who calls on the name of the Lord will be saved. This is the word of the Lord.
Explore this Pentecost idea. I'm going to give you a little bit of teaching, then I'm going to ask you a couple of questions, then we're going to try and understand how Pentecost can speak to us in our context. So, did you know that the book of Luke and the book of Acts are written by the same people? You know that? Because that's an important point here. Because Luke, when he's writing the gospel story of Jesus, of everything that's happening in Jesus' life, teaching, miracles, the death, the resurrection, that's the beginning of the story. And so Luke's trying to work that when we get to Pentecost, it's a continuation of the same story. It hasn't finished.